Welcome to Newsworthy Stories with Jacqueline Jimenez. Today we have the unique opportunity to hear from a man who suffered a stroke. We've actually been invited to go into his doctor's office to hear exactly what happened. He was wearing a device from Remember 2 called RM2.ai. It's something that monitors your vitals 24 hours a day. And by the time he left the hospital that first treated him, it was part of the doctor's orders. We're now getting an update from a man who was taken off an airplane just before suffering a stroke. Scott Johnson inviting us inside his doctor's office to hear firsthand what happened. He was wearing a 24-hour monitoring device created by the company Remember 2 called RM2.ai. You'll hear how the doctors say the device you can wear on your wrist was sharing critical information they might not have obtained to help them decide how to treat Scott next.
I went to the airport, my son dropped me off, and I'm there. And had something to eat. I was like, okay, I got like an hour to kill. Okay. So I'm sitting there, and then something just wasn't right. My whole left side, tingling, something felt off. You know, when you don't feel right, you can kind of tell. And it just started getting worse and worse. Not so much in my chest, but my whole left side. And so I said, you know what, maybe it'll pass. Okay. I got on the plane. The plane was about ready to leave. I'm going out of the country, not really feeling good about getting on a plane and going if something's going to happen on the plane. And then I guess I really wasn't focused. A flight attendant came up to me and said, "Are you okay?" And I said, "I don't think so." So I was somewhat coherent. And they said, probably if you're not feeling right, it would make sense to get off the plane. And the response was amazing. That's Paramedics came on the plane to get me off.
Okay. Do you feel like you probably wouldn't have been able to balance yourself?
I wouldn't have been able to. Okay. I just never felt like that. Yeah. I didn't know what was going on, but I knew it was. I didn't think it was going to pass at that point. I was like, this is bad. Oh. At that point, my blood pressure was like 251 over 130.
Wow. Wow.
And they didn't allow it to go down with any medication, because if there was something going on Correct. After I understood that to be the case, they wanted to stay elevated.
Yes, because just as FYI for you, if the pressure goes down too quickly, that can worsen a bleed, or cause a worsening, a stroke. So oftentimes they don't want to have too quick a change in the blood pressure. So even though it seems strange, my pressure is super high, and now they're not doing anything about it, it actually is the correct thing that they did for you at that time.
Yeah. And I did find that out later. Yeah. But during that period of time, I was like, I got a pounding headache. Yeah. I didn't feel right. Can you do something for me? And they were doing it according to the protocol with tests. Yeah. MRI, CT scan. I don't even know how many tests they did. Yeah. But it was the right place to be. But it was scary.
What's fascinating to me is that you were being monitored in the hospital, and you also had the Remember 2 monitor on. Mm-hmm. And I think that's invaluable information, because I know at the same time that you were going through this experience that your monitor was showing it.
It was.
And
it was.
And their doctors at the time in the hospitals, you spoke to them about it, and what happened?
Well, they were amazed by the fact that we actually had all this information going on, and being monitored was a huge effect, in the alert back to the family, possibly affected the outcome. And, it was just, we gathered all this information, and the doctors kind of collaborated along with yourself and the device to say, wow, this is what really happened. So we could kind of determine, okay, once we got stable, now where do we go from there?
Correct.
So, we made a huge adjustment in my blood pressure medication. Yes. because we knew that was wrong, and because my body wasn't reacting properly.
Right.
And that's, so we were able to see all of that in the monitoring from the device. I think even better than what they had at the hospital.
Most definitely, because we did notice later on when we looked at the device and what was monitored when the incident occurred on the plane, there was changes there. And then when you're in the emergency room, you could see the changes. And even in the hospital, we could see the changes. So one of the benefits, and what I like, and especially someone with what I call labile blood pressures. Labile is when it's not consistent. It'll go up one time and then it'll be normal, and then in another moment. It's important to watch because we know that one of the biggest causes of a stroke, a complete stroke, not just a TIA, is uncontrolled blood pressure. The blood pressure going too high for too long can lead to a stroke. In addition to something really, really dangerous called atrial fibrillation, which can cause the heart to beat erratically, and that can throw a clot, which can go to the brain. It's a good thing, and I'm glad that the doctor encouraged you to continue wearing it after your discharge.
It was in the discharge papers. Say, wear your device from the hospital.
And that's important. I wish all my patients had an opportunity to have this kind of device, especially after being discharged from the hospital. It's one thing to be in a hospital like you were and being monitored continuously and nurses nearby. And it's another thing to be home, especially right after leaving the hospital and have no one to monitor you. You may have a visiting nurse that comes by for a short period of time, but for the rest of the time, you may be by yourself and have no idea what's going on with critical vitals like your pulse, like your heart rate, like your EKG and your blood pressure. So this is a device I think is great for someone like yourself who just had a stroke, whose blood pressure, thank goodness, is now finally controlled based on what we looked at. And you yourself, because it was a TIA, not permanent, you can monitor it yourself. You can take a look at what's going on and, do you feel more confident?
Well, it's a lot easier because I get this white coat syndrome when all of a sudden you're doing the blood pressure, and now it didn't go from that number down to like perfection.
Yeah.
I didn't expect that. It's going down kind of, gradually.
Yes.
And it's at a manageable number. It's not at a number where I'm going to have an issue.
Correct.
But it's nice now. I don't have to sit here and, because all of a sudden I put on the cuff and I'm like, okay, I'm panicking.
What's going to happen? What's going to happen?
All that.
Yeah.
So it's really great. And, anyone with a health condition or that's getting older, it's just a way to kind of keep track and say, hey, you have a problem, let's address it. And that's what I'm continuing to do.
So if the stewardess did not ask you to get off the plane, do you think you would have gotten off the plane?
I would have, because I'm, and my doctor knows, I make appointments. I go to the doctor. I'm a pretty diligent person about that, whether it's going to the derm or whatever the case may be. So I would have. However, a lot of guys, and I'm a stubborn guy, I know that, but some guys, like, I don't go to the doctor. I'm not going and this and that, until something's wrong with me. So I would have, but I don't think the average guy would,
Yeah. And that's a great point. You're right. The average guy who's not conscious or just wants to continue hiding their health really from their family or anyone else, it's a great way to monitor, at least feel responsible for your health without having to feel pressured into going to a doctor and pressured to share information with your family. Because one of the issues I have as a doctor is there are many people who don't tell my aunt, don't tell my cousin, don't tell this person, and not knowing for themselves what's going on. But with a device like this, you're able to actually get an interaction, because you can see for yourself. The alerts go in that tells you that something is significant. So you can take, I would say, autonomy and ownership to your health, which is important for a lot of people who still want to maintain some form of independence. And then for those who are not independent anymore, who need assistance, it's it's a great device to have a circle. And I think it's going to be a game changer in the medical industry. We're not going to anymore treat on the spot irregularities. We're going to be looking for patterns. We're going to be looking for consistency, because oftentimes that's where a doctor is forced to work from. You're in my office right now, your pressure is elevated right now, and there's so many factors that can lead to it. But if I can look and see the past month, I can have a broader picture, a better picture, a more complete picture of what your health really looks like.
It's just one additional tool that you can use besides your doctor to assist in monitoring your health, and I think it's really important. But this has been, especially the blood pressure, has been a major concern of mine. And so I really feel like I'm in a good place after a few weeks ago having a major health condition incident, you know.
So joining me now to talk more about what happened and her thoughts on how to protect ourselves, when a stroke is happening or what to look for, is Dr. Michelle Powell herself. So I'm so glad she's joining us. She has an office in North Miami. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me. This is a very important topic, and I'm so happy to be able to speak more to the people about it.
It was so incredible to actually have that access to hearing, you and Scott talk about what happened. And what are your thoughts, or what do you, overall, what do you want us to really take from what you learned from this experience? Because, wow, that his temperature was, his blood pressure was so high. Yeah. I was shocked myself.
Right. I have found, in particular with Scott, what was unique is that he was so in tune with his body. So many patients are not aware of what's happening in their bodies. And if they even have some unusual happenings, they quickly dismiss them. And what I found was really important in Scott's experience is that he did not dismiss them. He paid attention to them. And because of that, I believe that saved his life. And yeah.
No, it's saying absolutely. It is true, because when you do pay attention and how do you do that though? Can you give us some, how, because we're so busy sometimes we don't even recognize, what should we look for?
I think let's start with just awareness. First and foremost, many people avoid going to have just their annual physical examinations. I call that the tune-up for your car called the body vehicle. And I can imagine if some people go years and years without ever getting an oil change, what would happen to their actual physical cars? Well, our bodies is similar to that. And we need to regularly at least have that annual physical where we assess what is the blood pressure, what is your renal function, what is your blood sugar level. Just those basic tune-ups that can be done at a physical will get you better in tuned. So in Scott's instance, his blood pressure had been running elevated, and we've been trying to make adjustments with his blood pressure. So every person should be aware of what their blood pressure is currently and be aware of if it starts to change and not ignore it and take action to maintain a healthy blood pressure of less than 140/90. The other thing to pay attention to is if suddenly you start having the worst headache of your life. If you start having, you're not a headache person and you're starting to get headaches, that's an indication possibly that your pressure is elevated. You're having blurry vision. All of a sudden you just had your eye examination maybe a couple months ago and you can't see properly out of the glasses you just purchased. That may be indication that your pressure is elevated. People often look for, the weakness in the facial weakness, weakness in your arms or legs. And unfortunately, those are advanced signs that you're having a stroke. It may simply just start with you having a forgetful moment, or you're just for one moment feeling tingling in your hands or tingling in your lips, or just one part of your vision losing vision. And so those are just some simple things. So we're looking at our blood pressure, we're looking at headaches, we're looking at blurry vision. And of course, if you have chest pain for prolonged period of time and not indigestion, and you can tell the difference if you take a Tums, a Pepcid, or some stomach medication, and your chest pain does not go away, that's no stop and go. That's immediately go to the emergency room because you could be having a heart attack.
And that's my big thing. Denial, dismissal,
Yes.
because we're trying so hard not to stop. We've got
Yes.
this big list of things that we keep trying to do, and every day it just seems like that list continues. And we've been talking about it amongst my colleagues, amongst family. Our bodies and people they're just not taking it anymore. I mean, they really are collapsing. They are in the hospital or they're dying.
Yes.
And I'm just curious, as a doctor, with everything, are you seeing elevated, uh, stress, anxiety, especially with, even over everything that's happening right now?
Most definitely. Most definitely. I would go as far as to say we are under physical and mental attack. With the stress that is going on, in our environment, um, with job changes, layoffs, school sizes diminishing, children moving to different schools, with people's hours prolonged. I have individuals who can't even take off from work to come see their doctor because now it's no longer acceptable to take time off from work because people fear losing their jobs. We have wars, rumors of wars that are constantly on the media and in the news. And with elevation in prices, gas prices, without elevation in salaries, all those things impact families and individuals. And we can't even dismiss our children. And so I am seeing just in my office alone more stress, panic attack, anxiety, elevated blood pressure, elevated blood sugar. Believe it or not, blood sugar is not just about what you eat. Stress impacts your blood sugar. You could be eating perfectly, but the stress in your life and in your environment can also elevate your blood sugar, not to mention your blood pressure. All that is coming together to make what we're seeing more and more earlier heart attacks, earlier stroke. Without mentioning the name, just last August, a woman just completed her PhD and she was only 47 years old. And now she's stuck to a wheelchair because she had a stroke at 47.
Yes. And that's real talk, right? That's
That's
real
real.
talk. This is real talk. This is really happening. And
Yes.
and it really goes to what Remember to and RM2.ai to me
Yes.
is helpful. I mean, I know, and in many cases, this device is absolutely essential for the senior population and those with chronic disease. But me personally, with all the colleagues that I deal with, uh, I'm thinking, we need it too, too.
Yes.
And I know that you wear the Remember to RM2.ai device. Can you tell us what your experience has been with it, so I can even understand how it's been working for you and why?
Oh, great. One of the things, because of where we are right now, I believe almost every adult needs to have this device, remember to. Just like they have a watch to know what time it is, and now our watch tells us who's calling us and even will tell us about our text messages. We need a device, which remember to is, that tells us about our physiology, that tells us about what's going on in our bodies. Because you're right, we don't have the time to be paying attention to important things such as our blood pressure, such as our pulse, such as our heart rate, such as what's happening with our heart that can be seen on Remember to, which is an EKGs. It's a constant monitoring, similar to our watch that we wear, which constantly tells us our time. We all need this now because we are not in tune with our bodies as we should be, and because of the elevation and stresses that are going. So, an external a device that looks just like a watch, that can keep track of what's going on with your personal physiology, that will alert you if something is unusual to take action, is invaluable to, I believe, every adult, especially anyone who's ever been told you have high blood pressure, coronary artery disease, ever had a mini TIA. And of course, for our seniors who now are maybe disabled at home alone, where family members can now have the peace of mind to go to work or wherever they need to go, knowing that there's an external source monitoring their loved one and will alert them in immediate time if action needs to be taken. I think it's invaluable for whether you're a senior or whether you're an adult, who actually needs to have something external monitoring you and will give you real time information. And I have to make a point here. What's so different about this device, why I gravitate toward it, unlike maybe some of the devices out on the market that does monitor your pulse, does monitor your blood pressure. You have to actually look. You have to actually press the button, find the blood pressure reading, click on it, and ask it to give you a blood pressure reading in the real time. Remember, too, does it all the time without you having to be involved in the process of, hey, what is my blood pressure right now? It will immediately in real time alert you if something happens to your blood pressure that's out of the normal parameters. And you don't have to be involved in, hey, what's my blood pressure? What's my pulse? How's my EKG doing?
Yeah.
You don't have to get active. With that kind of freedom is what we all need right now because of our busy lives.
And one of the things I really like about Remember too is that, just like you said, it not only will it alert you, but it alerts your family members. It alerts your circle, because we are in denial so often that, some of the times, especially our seniors who never want to bother us, they never want to, make us go out of our way. It'll tell on them and say, hey, this is what's happening. And I love that about that, because our seniors are so proud,
Yes, yes.
and they don't want to feel like they're
the burden is the word they like to
aging
use.
and that they're not able. And so I find that to be a great way to alert us, even when they fall and maybe they didn't hurt themselves, but they fell.
Yes.
It tells us, because they might not.
Correct.
And
correct.
many people know that already, because I've talked to so many people who, because I had my own mother fall. And just telling that story, I learned from so many other people whose parents fell and didn't tell them. In my mother's case, it was extraordinary. She fell and wasn't found for like 75 hours, which was beyond my mind, right?
Yes, yes.
Had I had Remember to as well, at least we would have discovered it within an hour, a 2 hour, nothing extraordinary, because we don't live in the same city, right?
Right.
And so it was just something that simple. It can happen to anyone. And we have a huge circle of people. And yet everything slipped through the cracks, except the fact that when she didn't show up for church, they came looking for her. They left the service and looked for her. And that's, that's church family. So if y'all don't have one, y'all need to get one. Okay.
Yes.
So, that's my 2 cents on that.
And I have to say that just taking the example of a fall will change a family's life.
Yeah.
Falls are, we know, as the number one indicator of changes that lead to dementia, that leads to hip fractures. So now someone is able-bodied to walk and take a shower, maybe fix a simple meal for themselves. They can't do it anymore. A fall, if it results in a head injury, can cause a bleed, and then you have an individual now who may have to need assisted living facility. A classic example was someone like Scott. Here he is, that he knew he wasn't feeling well, But what that not feeling well actually meant, he could not determine for himself individually. But the device, remember too, because it had been recording all his vitals and important things, the device knew exactly that his blood pressure was completely out of control over 200. So you as an individual may feel uncomfortable, may feel something is going on, but that's the limit and the extent of what you can discern. Where with the Remember to in an external device that is actually monitoring all the significant vitals that can actually interpret what is going on, you now can narrow it and guide whatever treatment is needed. So he was so amazing. He was feeling uncomfortable, but the device was clearly saying, your pressure is out of control. He was able to get off the plane, and I'm glad he did get off the plane.
Yeah.
And when he got to the emergency room, now they're able to take an actual manual blood pressure reading and found his blood pressure was elevated, which supported what was already being recorded in Remember to. And it also showed the abnormalities in his EKG, which was his heart, and what was going on. So it's complementary.
What I found was absolutely telling was when he left the doctor's office and it was in the doctor's orders, do not take that Remember to RM2.ai device off your arm other than to charge it, but the whole point was they saw the value of wearing it. And I think that's very telling, not just for Scott, but for everyone in healthcare to consider, because at the end of the day, this device, and you should look into it if you're in the healthcare industry, is it saves, can save money for millions for your hospital, can save millions as a health insurer. So, that's the goal behind it, I should say. That's the goal. Is
one
that
of the things, and total in complementary to what you're saying, when I as a physician has a person who's just been discharged from the hospital, or someone has just went in urgent care, you're going to get medication. You're going to maybe for a short period of time have a home health aide or nurse visit you, but that's it. There's nothing ongoing long-term to make sure this does not occur. And the sad news is that the average person who's had a heart attack or a stroke within 6 months may have a repeat heart attack or stroke. And so the preventative part of this is that this device will continue to monitor you outside the window of after you've done your follow-up care with your doctor, outside the window of leaving the hospital. You now have continuous care, or at least continuous monitoring, that you don't end up in that situation of repeat blindly. And so it is complementary. And I, as a practitioner, would definitely recommend to other practitioners to encourage their membership to get a device so that when they leave your office, they can continue to be monitored. And you can be one of the circle that gets alerted when something is abnormal. And I just want to make the point. We all now have Ring, which is notifying us if someone's at our house for a nominal fee that we pay every month to be alerted if someone's walking by our house or going to our mailbox. How much more important is your life? That for a nominal fee, you can monitor your health vitals and statistics that will save your life. It's well worth having that investment monthly for your life.
100%. No other words needed. So thank you so much, Dr. Michelle Powell, joining us again from North Miami. Get to know her, especially if you're in the area. Yes. Fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing.
I appreciate it. And I do hope this helps because I know it can. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
My name is Corlette DeVoe, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of RM2.ai.
RM2.ai was founded by Bert Fertel and myself as co-founder. of this platform. Bert's concern, he is 86 years old, and his concern is the fact that, one, he was falling. Two, he forgot to take his medication. He would forget his cell phone. He was becoming forgetful. So he wanted to identify a way to help seniors like himself.
The reason why I'm involved with this project, it is personal. It is personal because I had a mother, and my mother is not here today because of circumstances that could have been avoided. So when my mother died, it came to me that there are other people out there that could benefit from the creation that we have that we're going to present to you today. We want to help seniors. We want to help young adults with disabilities. We want to help those with chronic diseases. We want to be here to help everyone because our platform is an early warning platform.
What it can do for us. I know it'll be helpful because I see that if you fall, if something happens, it's good nowadays to be extra special, safe.
I have a tendency to drag my feet, mostly my left foot, as I walk. And if I don't mentally tell myself to pick it up as I walk, I wind up catching that foot on the edge of a table or something. And then I normally go to kind of fall. On the health side, being a diabetic, my sugar do go low a lot of times, mostly low, then high. And like at nighttime, I'm by myself and I need nobody there to listen to me, then I have to get help if I need it. So it's good for me.